What's up, everybody? It's a HorrorDeconstruction. You can find us on Tumblr, not really, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, but most notably on YouTube for now. With yours, Komp and
Honey Boy.
today's film is
Violence Voyager 2018. Also by Rensu
How are
Boyja.
you doing my joke for? Violence Voyager.
No, I didn't
2018.
do the voice though. You gotta do the voice.
Violence Voyager.
Good.
Following an end-of-term school ceremony, the American boy Bobby decides to go with his friend Akun into the mountains outside their village to a place perfect for the secret base. I hate when the full summary goes outside of the regular thing. Oh God, I hate. You want on IMDb? All you got to do is write 3 lines to explain.
Oh, they wrote like a
movie.
paragraph, yeah.
They write a gigantic fucking paragraph which explains.
They
the
have
whole
fun there,
stupid
but are
movie.
attacked and cannot leave, falling in some.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they have fun. Okay, anyway. So basically, these 2 kids get into some hijinks with some very weird science fiction angle to it. So why did I pick Violence Voyager? Well, I'll tell you.
very.
It's directed, by the way, it's directed by Uchija, written, drawn, directed by Uchija, edited, basically everything. One-man show. It took him 3 years to do this.
I can
and
see
it-
why.
And it has an actual commendable cast of American voiceover, but I'm gonna talk about my
Really,
issues with
though?
that later. Yeah, I think it could have been worse. I think there's a big issue.
I wish I had watched it
production-wise.
in Japanese. To
That's
be
what
honest.
I said too. I actually even I sent a message to the company that released it because this was surprisingly my most wanted to see film of the year, and unfortunately it sort of left me sort of lukewarm watching it. But anyway, let's get into Violence Voyager. If anybody knows what, I guess you most likely people.
Would you
find out
go?
now.
Okay, like here's the first question: would you ever go to a place called Violence Voyager?
Yeah, I would. I'm into weird shit like that.
Yeah, but if you're a
I
little
would've been
kid
like
and
one of
there's a
those
creepy man, like, hey, welcome.
No,
to...
I'd be like, wait a minute, this is strange. Like the people themselves are strange, but of course I would go see. I want to go to like haunted houses and weird shit like that.
Yeah,
but
that's true, I guess.
you know, we like all that weird crap. So
I don't like any
Voyager-
weird crap. I don't know who you are.
Violence Voyager is a film, like we said earlier, is done in Gekomation style. I guess to see Gekomation is to instantly know what it means. Can you
Is it-
explain
now,
to
is-
people what Gekomation means?
I guess it's like literally just cardboard paintings that are being moved
Puppetry.
around.
Right.
Puppetry, yeah. Is that not how they did the first ever South Park pilot?
No, it was done with hand animation, like not hand animation, just it was stop motion animation, the original South Park. It wasn't done with any
Okay.
hand movement. So Ujicha is a Japanese artist. He is obviously an artist. He's a very talented artist, and he did a previous film which I still want to see. It's called The Burning Buddha Man, and it's
Is
about
it also this style?
yeah, and it's about this girl who finds a plot where somebody's been taking Buddha statues and mutating them into freaks, and they kill people. Looks cool.
So like
That
making them
was
like
like-
gargoyles, kind of.
That was about like 5 years ago. I haven't seen that because I'm too cheap. Even though I paid $2, a rousing $2 on Amazon Prime to see this. And you know
You
how
paid
cheap I was?
$2. I paid $3, and I felt really bad
I
about
told you to
giving
watch
that
it
guy
on
my money.
I told you to watch it on SD. You watched it on HD?
No, I watched SD. It was like
No,
$3.
you watched it on HD. Well, no, really? Oh, maybe because I'm a Prime member. But so yeah, I paid $2, and you know, because I'm so cheap, I watched the movie 3 times just to get my $2 worth.
It's pretty cool.
Really
But you didn't watch it in Japanese?
Did you watch it in Japanese?
No, I watched it in English, and
There
then
wasn't
like
there was no option for Japanese. Believe me, because
Oh,
that
okay.
greatly affected my thoughts on the film. Because I feel like they might have forgotten to record some audio for this movie or something.
yeah, there's a
because-
lot of like blank spots.
Yeah, there's a lot of strange blank spots. There's a sequence alone where Bobby is talking to this girl. They're like, you know, the part when they first get into that cave and one of the people with the box heads leads them.
Yeah.
The girl with the box head leads them, and they meet these 3 other kids.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the girl's
yeah.
explaining something, and it goes silent for a good 5 seconds. Like there's nothing happening.
Or
And
like
it's
at
just
the end. Like he should be screaming as he's grabbed by a giant monster.
Yeah,
but it's
it's-
just silent.
It really is. There's some very strange audio
And
absences in this
it
film.
makes
and
it in a way more creepy.
It does, but it makes me feel like somebody fucked up on the transfer of the movie or something, because I watched the trailer in Japanese and it's a completely different vibe in the way it's gone, like the way it does it. Like
I gotta see it in
sounds
Japanese.
Cool. Yeah, I know, and I want to see it in Japanese, but there was no option for it on Prime, and I texted. I think it's Tri-Coast Entertainment, is because when I found out like a company was releasing this, I've been wanting to see this movie because it looks so strange and it's done in let's go with Gekomation. Gekomation is basically hand puppets, but it's done like on a really professional level. You can see one guy did this and it took him 3 years. So the only other reference point I have for a film like this is
did he also do the actual physical manipulation of the
it's only one guy. It was apparently one guy did all of this.
So who filmed if he wasn't? I guess he set up the camera for each shot.
Yeah, he could probably have a monitor on the side and watch what he's doing, which is probably the easiest thing. I tried to do this once, and I still want to do something like this again.
It seems so painstaking.
The lighting was horrible. It came out awful. Anyway, but Ujicha did this, and there's a thing. The only other film that obviously you and I can reference is what was the one that we saw about the girl in the freak show?
What?
Mari-chan, or it was an animation. Remember, it was like a Japanese school
Oh, jeez, yeah. That's a really fucked up movie.
Yeah, Mari-chan or something.
I'll look it up.
Just put lone anime, one animator. Anyway, so this is a one-man show, and obviously they hired voice talents.
Shoujo Tsubaki.
Yeah, Shoujo Tsubaki, but I forget what the American name was, but it's like some girl's name. Anyway. So that's why I wanted to see this film anyway, just because it has a cool look to it.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
It's a really cool look, and it's just a really great aesthetic to it.
It reminds me of like those 1950s sci-fi posters.
Right? Yeah. Right, like a pulp novel or something.
Yeah, exactly, like that sort of thing.
Science fiction novels or like Mars
Attacks.
Like
the day the Earth stood still, and you
stuff
see
like
the giant robot or something
So it's weird when you see this film, and I don't know how I might have hyped myself on the idea of this film, that it has such an interesting look to it, and a sort of cool premise, but for some reason to me it did not live up to what it could have been. Like
I think we need to see it with Japanese, because I thought the voice acting was the only bad part of it. Yeah,
no, I didn't think it was bad. I think I think that adds to it. That the voice acting was pretty bad. I didn't mind Bobby's voice actually. I think they were recording the voiceovers in a very tongue-in-cheek way on purpose. I think they were obviously dubbing the movie to be bad. Listen, I've listened to a lot of anime.
Yeah.
That's why I don't watch American anime with them.
I try to always watch it in Japanese when I can.
Yeah, because American dub acting is so fucking bad. A lot of it is really bad, and they all sound the same. This one actually sounded better than usual. So I mean, if you can you imagine that?
All the dubs I have seen are actually really good. I guess I'm fortunate with that, like all Funimation quality level stuff. But I don't know. I just would rather hear the Japanese because that's the way they intended it. So I guess it's better. I don't know. That's my logic.
It's strange because Bobby is an American kid. He has like the bowl. He looks like Buster Brown. He has that bowl, not that bowl haircut, but that sort of little.
Kind of looks like Chucky. He looks like Chucky if Chucky was a human.
Blonde man hair, but his mother looks Japanese. So maybe he's I guess he's biracial. And he's just coming from America because I guess his father was an American.
Yeah.
And he's there with his I just like the names Old Man.
What's the deal with the forehead of these kids?
It's not explained. It's just really ugly, grotesque art.
He's like,
that's the thing that I like.
Let's just make this family have it looks like someone took like a tic-tac-toe and ingrained it into their skull.
Or he fell front into a waffle maker or some shit like that.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But yeah, the designs of the characters are very ugly looking. They're really strange and ugly looking.
Yeah, and they'll make these grotesque faces sometimes.
Yeah, and it's just really
a cat will jump at them, and it's you'll see his tongue out in such a weird face, and it holds it for 5, which is kind of awesome.
And the thing is, the art is rendered very well. It's really good looking film. It's just that the characters are on purpose just very hideous. That's what I like about Japanese comic books. Is that they literally do anything, and they cover any subject, and they're very as grotesque as possible, and that's sort of more of an indie thing in the U.S. You can't. It was
cool. It was cool when they had the actual real stuff, real blood squirting on the screen and shit, and vomit and stuff coming out of it. Yeah, it's so cool.
So, Bobby is. I don't know why I don't see the names online here, but Bobby is with his friend. I forget the kid's name. He has like a fucking weird forehead.
Akun or something.
And yeah, Akun, right? And they're trying. I guess they're trying to show that Bobby's very good with building things. That's why I guess he has that. You know, like at the very beginning, he builds like a little video game, baseball game, and he showed the little brother of the other ones, and he built some sort of weird creature, and then he throws the creature, and it's like focused on the creature falling on the grass, like if it's supposed to mean something, but it doesn't.
Yeah, I was really expecting, like, is that gonna be something? And nope.
Anyway, so the two boys are decided to see a friend that parted ways from, I guess, middle school or early middle school or something like that, or maybe from who knows, even back then. I don't remember how school goes.
Yeah.
And they're trying to go over there. They're talking about Akun is friends with this guy named Old Man Lucky Monkey. He's like this old weird guy that lives in the
Would you
forest
trust
with
a
bunch of
man named
animals.
Old Man Lucky? I mean, he ends up being the only trustworthy person in this movie, actually.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. I don't know, probably not. But
like, imagine peeing and there's this old man and there's a monkey above your head.
Was he peeing? I thought he was trying to take a shit, but I guess he was taking a piss.
Oh, maybe he was trying to poop. I don't
remember. It was very
remember.
disturbing that you see that long monkey saliva that falls on him.
You see a lot of children's penises in this movie,
yeah,
too.
You do. I saw that in a review. There's a lot of genitals in this movie, and it's not censored. It's funny because in Japan, no, they don't really. I guess they don't really censor children's genitals, like unless it's thought to be sexual.
They only censor
Dragon Ball?
They censor women's vaginas in porn, but they don't censor children's genitals.
I'm convinced a lot of people in Japan
so
don't know what. I'm convinced people in Japan don't really know what a vagina looks like until they actually have sex. Like they're expecting to see robot squares in a vagina. But yeah, it's weird because like in Dragon
Imagine
Ball,
that's what Japanese vaginas look like.
No, I know firsthand it's not. So
okay,
but like he like
well, maybe when you're in Japan, the censorship goes on.
Censorship law.
Like it could sense that it's in Japan and it's.
But like I was saying, I remember Dragon Ball. They showed Goku's dick and balls when he was a little kid, remember? And then they had to find ways to censor it on television. It was so funny in the U.S. Anyway, so he's with his friend Akun, and they run into Old Man Lucky Monkey, and Old Man Lucky Monkey's like, don't go over the side of that mountain. Just don't do it.
They should have listened. He should have, honestly, he should have been a little more severe. Like, if you go over there, you're going to be permanently mutilated or killed.
He used to work with the guy who's a crazy scientist, but we don't know that yet in the film. We just know that Lucky Monkey warns them not to go. Boys decide, fuck it, we'll go anyway, and they decide to take a detour, which leads them into a bridge. I don't know why I kept thinking about Indiana Jones, but obviously because there's a giant bridge at the end of Temple of Doom. They go over this bridge. They run into signs that say Violence Voyager. Like, what's Violence Voyager? And it ends up being, it looks like a defunct theme park.
As a person who's seen too many horror movies, I would absolutely turn around when I saw a sign that said Violence Voyager on the middle of the mountain.
But that guy was great. The evil guy, the bad guy, his voice is hilarious. I mean, like, even he was fucking funny.
He was my favorite voice actor in the movie.
Because he's like, hey, you guys, what are you doing here? Like, he's just
I like how he's, like, so creepy.
That's why you knew this film was like on purpose, just being absolutely stupid with the voices, but in a very I'm sure respectful tone to the film, because the film is clearly like horror. It's like an exploitation horror film with children in it.
It really like when it starts to turn though, it's like whoa shit, like
it's really bad. Yeah, because I wasn't expecting...
some of the stuff that happens, like I actually got a little nauseous at one point.
Did you? Yeah, because I was totally not expecting what happens to the main character.
I was eating, and then like I forget exactly what happened. It was something like they all started puking when they saw that kid that was mutilated, and I was like, oh, this is so gross. I like started getting a little nauseous.
So I sort of love that whole shooting gallery aspect that they give him water guns and they give him a. I love how they show them this sort of weird. Primer film. Yeah. The daughter of the evil guy comes in. We don't know he's evil yet, obviously, but he's very clearly evil person.
Well, is he evil though? Because there's like this giant monster. It seems like he's like
kind of possessed by the mother brain or something like that.
Oh, I don't know. It seems like he has a responsibility to this monster. He
obviously built that thing. They were into genetic. They didn't go clearly into what's going on, but he's clearly a geneticist guy because he's mutating these kids, and he must have created Mother in a way.
This is the Japanese version of Human Centipede.
It's a very David Cronenberg film. Very much a David Cronenberg movie. But I guess a lot of people will have issues because there's total violence towards children. Yeah, like, I don't get offended by violence towards children in film. In real life, yes, obviously, but in a movie like that, people.
In real life, I prefer it, but in a movie, I frown upon it.
But so the boys end up in this game, and they run into this girl who's saying that she had come down to the park, or she was accosted at the park with her boyfriend. They don't know who the boyfriend is. So it all leads into this insane thing. There was a monkey, not a monkey, a Rottweiler inside of a cage, and the Rottweiler attacks him. And
I felt so bad for the Rottweiler.
Bobby's cat falls off of a cliff, and
he got his ear ripped off.
There's a lot of shit going on. Like, this is like literally, it looks like a manga on screen. Like, you're just reading the strangest comic book and you're watching it in a film.
Yeah.
What it all leads to, obviously, is that they are pawns in a very large game to be turned into food for the director. I'm gonna call him the director, the evil director guy's son, who was mutated after death. He was brought back to life, and he looks like he has a television set on his head. He has like
What about the giant monster thing though? Like, and it was feeding the son. They were building
him at the end for some reason. Oh, you mean the mother monster?
Yeah.
That's what I think, that the director created that thing. Like,
no, sure, but like, what was its role? Like, it seemed to be feeding his real son with the
but then they were also turning those children into meat for the kid to eat. So I wasn't really sure of what the fuck was going on. Like, they were feeding. They said all those people were for food. Like,
it almost seemed like he was making like an army, though. I don't know.
Yeah, you would think that, but
you don't have to modify someone's body to eat them.
Yeah, they specifically say that this is food to feed. I forget the kid's name.
But why do they have to modify them to eat them?
I have no clue. I don't know.
Can you ask him?
It's yeah. Excuse me. Hold on. Let me make
old man Lucky Monkey. Why did they do that?
But he had a good voice too, Old Man Lucky Monkey. But yeah, it doesn't make sense because they drink this weird milk, and they have like these tanks on their back, like a battery, to show you know how. I was expecting a lot of those mutants to come out and fight Bobby and stuff. I was expecting that. It sort of is a very small story with a large scope, because it's just basically one bad guy and one bad henchman sort of film. When you're expecting to be... I was expecting a lot of these mutants, because from the trailer, you think, oh, they're going to be fighting all these monsters and weird shit going on, but it's just basically a very small story, which I think is what let me down, but it's not the director's fault, it's just the clever marketing. And
I like the story. The only problem I have with this movie was the voices. They were terrible.
Yeah, I was, like, going back to our original point, I actually texted before this movie came out, and I had found out Tri-Coast Entertainment was releasing it.
Yeah.
Because it was still I think it's still actually in film festivals. But
okay.
It's such a fucking obscure movie because nobody would touch it with a 10-foot pole because there's kids getting killed left and right in it.
Right.
And Tri-Coast Entertainment, they have a Facebook page, and I said, hey, when does this come out? And they said, oh, early... When did this come out? A couple months ago?
How did, like, Legend of the Evil get released?
It didn't. It didn't get released in U.S. theaters. No, of course not. Because it was shooting in school.
Yeah, that movie's got a high body count. Holy shit.
Legend of the Evil by Takashi Miike. Great movie.
Such a great movie, but holy shit, there's like probably 50 kills in there.
Yeah, it really is. That's like one of the highest body count movies, like including fucking like Schwarzenegger films and stuff. But yeah, so then they said, then I was like, because I had, I'd rented the film, and I said, listen, I posted on the wall, I was like, listen, I rented this movie. And I was wondering why there wasn't any option for and I was trying to be nice about it. I was like, I have no problem with the American voices, which I don't. You do.
Yeah.
But I was like, why was there no sort of Japanese audio track? And they were like, like one of the person, I guess.
Oh, they got back to you. That's cool.
Yeah, they did, because, it's a very small company. I don't think that is like a big corporation doing it. I think they just, bought it for cheap and then did that.
Yeah.
But obviously what I was thinking, they were like, I understand. I like listening to dubs myself, but they didn't say anything other than that. And I think what it is that they spent money clearly on the dub for the film, like hiring people. You got to hire people to cast voices and shit like that.
Yeah, well, they spent their money wrong. They should have...
So I think what they did is that's why they only did that option, because obviously if you pay for something, you want some people to go with that option of the movie, which I think was a very sore mistake with the film itself. I think they should have stayed with the Japanese audio, because I think...
Or do both. I like the option.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Make it dual audio, because I was like, after I saw it the first time, I was like, where the fuck is the Japanese audio for this? And I was like...
chances are, if I watched this in Japanese, which I would have done first, then I would have watched the English after, maybe.
Yeah, because, like, I'm like, because I was upset. It didn't ruin the whole experience for me. I had more issues with the plotting than anything. Yeah. But that was more because of what I was expecting. I wanted to see this movie so badly that I had, overstepped my anticipation of the film. So it's not really the film's fault, because Patient. So, all in all, I did enjoy the film. I did enjoy it. Like, the fact that I saw it 3 times and didn't have an issue with it. It's really graphically violent.
It's like, I mean, it's obviously they're just pieces of cardboard, but it gets like, it's pretty gross.
I would love to make a movie like this, like just done in this
this is great.
grotesque style. Like, it'd be great to do something like that.
And I think it could have been cut down, to be honest. It could have been shorter.
Yeah, I think so too. It could have been an hour long. It could have been even 40 minutes long, because the story is very
like an hour for certain. I don't know, less than that.
There were definite scenes in the movie where you could just fucking cut out. Like,
I love the opening. It's so innocent. Like,
yeah,
all these little kids, nice music playing, and then the shooting water guns, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh fuck.
What did you think about them turning Bobby into that mutant thing? I actually felt
He's
bad.
He's gonna have a really bad sex life in the future.
Yeah,
that was actually that really was my thought. Like, how is this kid gonna ever have sex?
He didn't even have genitals anymore. He just sort of had a thing where he shit out of, right?
And yeah, and it looked disgusting.
What happened?
And then he had
they laid something on him and he shit like everywhere.
They like squeezed his abdomen too tight or something, and it made like disgusting white acid shit come out of him.
And there's a famous I'll get to that, but there's a famous painting that's referenced at the end of the movie. You know, when the director's holding his dead robot son?
Yeah.
Father, let me just write this. Holding dead. It's a very famous, like, I don't know, it's not Rasputin. Give me a second. Talk about what was the grossest moment for you?
Well, I was eating and I got a little nauseous when they all started puking because I just didn't expect it. But
so you like clearly ruined actual artwork with like weird puke and stuff.
Things with eyes bother me, and there was a lot of stuff with eyes in this movie. Like, there's one point where an eye's hanging out of someone's head, and I don't know, like anything with eyes really upsets me.
And there's really effective sound effects because the movie sounds.
Oh yeah, God, the sounds are disgusting.
The movie is really like silent. Like, there's some song parts. But it's pretty silent. Like, that's why I say, like, it seems like there's nothing going on.
There needs to be a little more. There needed to be more, like, a little bit of music and definitely more talking.
There's a really disturbing sound effect that they use. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's clearly like a weird synthesizer key or something.
Oh, when they shoot the gun?
When the first part when the girl gets grabbed by the robot and you're, it's like a weird fucking like if you're not expecting that sound, you're gonna fucking shit yourself. They played the sound in the trailer like 30 times, but
I love the sound of the gun shooting. It's like I can't imitate it, but like when the the bad guy shoots the gun, it makes this like very specific noise.
I want you to Google Ivan the Terrible painting. Just Google that image, and that'll be the exact image that they reference at the end of the film when the evil guy is holding his dead robot son before he blows himself up with the pyrotechnic, obviously M80s. So it's an Ivan. It's funny because I was like, how do I know? It's just because the direct like look on the guy's face is like, because this is like a humongous like famous painting about I think Ivan the painting. I think he killed his son by accident.
Oh wow, it's 6 feet 7 inches by 8 feet 4 inches. That's pretty big.
It's a pretty rad ass painting too. So it was nice that they had some sort of.
I wish I could paint like this.
Me too.
But I suck. Right.
I liked just the little minute details that Ujicha put in the film. Like when he was showing them the short primer video of the aliens coming to attack the Earth, and they said, "Look what they did to our men," and then there was like footage of a blurred out corpse. And I was like, what's going on? Because in Japan, that's how they censor like stuff. They just mosaic it. And I was like, ugh, that's kind of gross because you couldn't tell. And I was
they
like,
treat vaginas and corpses the same.
Then I was like, I hope the whole movie isn't like this, like completely censored. And it is not censored at all. It's like very grotesque.
Yeah, I was a little surprised to see actual penises on there.
Did you like the? Obviously, I think you enjoyed the whole body horror aspect of the film.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love that stuff.
That's a huge selling point in this film. If you're into weird, because Danny and I are like, we do weird artwork on outside of this, and I think that's why I figured Danny would appreciate this.
Yeah, I love the art. That monster, it was a random reference, but the monster, like the giant one thing that was feeding the son or whatever, he reminded me of the monster that lives in the walls of Johnny the Homicidal Maniacs.
Yeah, right. If you don't paint the wall with blood, it'll come out. Here's the thing, because it's weird because you can't talk about this movie without watching it. You know what I mean? It's like to explain to somebody, oh, it's a weird sort of.
I mean, visually, it's just so cool to see, regardless of the bad voice acting, and it's only an hour and 20 minutes, so just watch it.
Yeah, Yeah, it goes by fairly quick because it is weird how quick. Like we say that it's longer than it should be, but the movie went fast for me. I think it's because it's animated and shit. Like
it's just like some like slow parts they could have cut out, and like
it has very strange endings. Like when he meets his mother at the end, and then it like
what was that?
The final shot is on her face, and I'm like, what? Like it just ended like
it was a little strange.
It's a really unsettling film, and I don't know if that's because obviously it is unsettling for a lot of reasons, but a lot of the artwork is very just unsettling. It's like you're looking at paintings coming alive, basically. If you walked into a fucking gallery and you just see paintings moving instead of.
It's interesting because sometimes you'll see, like at one point, it was showing someone's back. I forget who, and then they flip it around, like they physically flip the cardboard around.
It had like one of those tongue depressor sort of thing. They just flip the image.
I guess, but it was just interesting because like it almost reminded me of like Paper Mario, if you've ever played that.
Oh right, yes, yeah.
Yeah, like where you see him flip around, and it's like still within this 3D world though. It's really interesting.
It has limitations that can't be done with animation because you think, oh, with drawings you can do anything, but you really can't if you're doing this sort of stuff in real time.
Yeah.
And animation, you can obviously cut image and you can get a little bit more stylistically like camera style and shit like that within animation. This is sort of stuck in certain visuals in a certain way. Like obviously they can do close-ups and stuff like that, but they can't move into certain images. They can't do weird shots. Like
this is almost like when you go to like the Museum of Natural History or something, and it's got those like little glass booths where it'll show like a mammoth, and he's there with like a caveman or something.
Right.
It makes a whole setup. What are those things called? It was actually a surrealist idea to make those boxes.
The ones where you move the crank on it, or
no. There's like a concept in surrealism. They're the ones that started that whole idea where you make like a fake stimulated environment.
Oh, I see. Well, there's a name for that thing. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Hold on. I'm
in
Googling.
the Museum of Natural History, they have these sections, obviously in glass cases, where they'll have like a woolly mammoth or something.
Yeah.
And they have these incredibly beautifully painted backgrounds, and you can they give credit to the artists if you look very closely on the side. It'll say background painted by so and so.
Oh, it's bothering me. I can't think
diorama?
Diorama. That's it.
Diorama, right?
I believe surrealism started. Anyway, that's what this is like. It's like watching a animated diorama.
So, if anything, it's an incredibly fascinating piece of filmmaking. Like, you can't think it's probably the greatest movie ever, but it's visually and just conceptually, just how it was done. You're sort of like, oh, like even if you think it's the worst movie, you're like, wow, like a guy took 3 years to make this. It's sort of like
that's how I felt about that one where that monster thing. The guy spent like 17 years making it and then died before it came out. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, The Evil Within.
Yeah, like that's also like this very weird, fucking crazy movie that you just like could tell this was so crazy to make.
Yeah,
and
because
I don't know.
I think that's what adds to something. Like I'm able to sort of. Or I'm sure a lot of people are able to appreciate the work that goes into something.
Yeah.
So that other animation that we talked about, it was just done by one guy's Midori-chan, Midori's Daily Life or something, Shoujo Tsubaki.
Okay.
So I mean, there's something about it where to see somebody's complete vision done on film, like sometimes it's more successful, like David Lynch with Twin Peaks: The Return. Or, to a questionable degree with Nicholas Winding Refn's Too Old to Die Young. Or this guy Uchicha doing his thing. Because, like, this is completely his thing.
I think he should be proud of this. I just wish...
I think so, too.
I want to fucking hear the Japanese... As soon as the Japanese is available, I'm getting it.
So, I mean, like, if you're a Prime member of just on Amazon, like, I know you can't,
No, I just bought this.
Amazon,
like,
I understand
I don't have Prime, and I'm not going to ever.
I know. So we have issues with that, but The Boys in this, not bad. It's pretty good. And then The Expanse comes out today, the way that when we're talking about it. So that's good. Expanse is an incredible show.
I don't know what Expanse is.
For two, it's a science fiction epic series. But this is like, it really is worth taking a look at. For an hour and 20 minutes or so, and you can just watch it, and it kind of just goes. It's a fascinating film.
What's your
I would
rating?
give it a 7 out of, I really was coming into watching this film and giving it a 10 just because of how it was done. But
Yeah.
I had issues with it's mostly issues on my side with this film. But it's like a 7. Honestly, it's really an 8 just for execution, just how it was made. But it's a 7 out of 10 teaming up with a bat, a monkey, and is that all you know? And a little cat, a cyber cat, right?
Yeah, right.
Half fucked up cat to take on a mutant monster and his fucked up creator, and a giant robot and their fucked up daughter. It's great stuff, man. Remember when that first kid gets splashed with the acid? How disarming that is. How violent it is.
It's really violent. Like, it's surprisingly
really
violent.
Like, you just see that acid and then he falls down, his face is gone. I was like, oh my god, that's fucked up. Or I felt bad when Akun died too, because he just he just fell over, and he had they drew the way this guy draws dead faces is really disturbing.
Yeah, okay, the tongues are hanging out. I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10, and the only reason I'm not giving it like perfect is because like the story isn't like the best, and also the voice acting is just really bad. But the animation is so cool that it gets it all the way up to an 8.
I kind of got used to Bobby's voice. I liked it, and in fact, it was like played by an African American actor. I thought they were gonna pick like a white kid, but I think his voice
it sounded like a little white kid, honestly.
Oh, okay.
So 8 out of 10. Being friends with somebody who inexplicably just has like cross-hatched, dents in their head, and so does their brother, and then you have a giant, hideous scar on your hand because apparently when you became blood brothers, you used like a sword or something to make
I'm glad that they actually showed what that fucking meant, because I didn't know what.
Yeah, I was like, I figured it meant that, but like, it was just so grotesque.
Yeah, when the third kid came on, he had the scar on his hand. I was like, oh.
It was like so large, though. I mean, I did Blood Brothers when I was a kid. You just make a little cut. You don't have to fucking slice your whole hand open.
Ugh, I always thought everybody would get diseases doing that shit, and I still do. What a disturbing movie. Disturbing movie. With that, Danny, what's the final word?
Forrest Whitaker.
The Horror Deconstruction.